On the eve of Snowmageddon, it's the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show live from Quaker Steak and Lube. We can only hope we get on the other side of the impending snowstorm, as well as the other side of, that little pesky thing we like to call a pandemic. Welcome in on this Tuesday afternoon. We are at Quaker Steak and Lube. You should know that you can still get all of the great food that you've become accustomed to and all of the great beverages you've become accustomed to here at Quaker Steak and Lube, of course, with the governor's orders and edict. No dine-in services, but Quaker Steak and Lube is still open for carry-out, and hopefully everything will go according to plan, and we'll be back to full dining room service on Monday, January 3rd. Full menu and to-go cocktails are available until 8 o'clock here at Quaker Steak and Lube. You can call 814-237-5823. That's 237-5823, and you will get 20% off of your order if you mention the Goon and Ironhead show. So, if I were you, I'd go ahead and mention the Goon and Ironhead show. Wings reheat easily if you are looking to stock up today before the great blizzard of 2020 that is bearing down upon us hits sometime tomorrow. Delivery is also available here from Quaker Steak and Lube through DoorDash and Uber Eats. The hearts go out to everybody dealing with everything that they're dealing with now. I'm just telling you, the service here at Quaker Steak and Lube remains top-notch, and we once again urge you to support all of the local businesses, most especially, of course, Lion Country Kia, Quaker Steak and Lube, and the sponsors here of the show. But get out and support these folks. This is this is hitting at a time when many of them were just kind of starting to get back to, okay, I think we have things stabilized, expecting a good surge during the holiday season, and then everything gets shut down here in terms of the in-person service. So, whether it's getting, if you want to look forward to being able to rejoin your friends and gather. Again, you can get the gift cards, or you can still enjoy, again, the great food and beverages with the carry-out.
Yeah, a lot of carry-out food handles well around here. Wings, they do. That's true. They really do heat up well.
Oh, yeah.
Throw them, I don't know if you have an air fryer or not. The new thing and the new air fried things are fantastic.
All the cool kids have.
All the cool kids have. Hopefully you get one for Christmas this year.
Oh, let's hope.
But yeah, they do unbelievably good in the air fryer and baking them in the oven. Either way, you get a lot of people coming to town this next couple of weeks for Christmas. You don't want to cook one night. You just want to get a couple hundred wings. This is your spot and get 20% off. Just mention our names. That's the best part. So, yeah, I can't reiterate enough how much important it is to go out and support these local restaurants. Everything you can do. They've really gotten hamstrung. I mean, they were already struggling. No football, no graduations.
Yeah.
We're at 2 now. No Christmas parties, none of that stuff. So it's really just bad. And a lot of these guys are hurting, and a lot of these guys, don't be surprised if you won't see a lot of the normal places open up.
Yeah, it's very tough situation, and tough to see what's happening. First half, kind of tough. Speaking of tough, on Saturday for Penn State, Nittany Lions rebounded, though, with a very good second half. And Goon, I'll let you start. Just a lot of thoughts, a lot of emotions that kind of went through my mind thinking about it. But as a former player, again, after an 0-5 start, worst start in the history of the program, and rebounding with 3 consecutive wins, and rebounding from a poor first half to a terrific second half in front of no fans, including parents, at the stadium on Saturday. And I have yet to have anybody explain to me how in the world allowing.
They were there for the pregame.
Yeah, but
they're not there for the game.
And how does anybody actually believe that we did anything to prevent the spread of the virus by not allowing? I mean, they could have sat 50 feet, 60 feet apart, not more than 6, and still been okay. save it for another time. But my God, that's
I'm
just
with you, bud.
absolutely absurd. But that being said, your thoughts as you watch and listen. I don't know if you had a chance to listen. I thought Steve and Steve Jones, Jack Ham did a great job just describing the scene there, and it had to be just kind of a surreal, as this whole season has been, a surreal experience for those guys, though, that on senior day, you get the win that you wanted that prevents them from having that winless season at home.
Yep.
And nobody there except for their teammates, obviously, to celebrate with, and just a really weird scene. But your thoughts watching the game and then the scene that unfolded after?
Well, I mean, watching the game, I was obviously very upset because I just saw us going down that same path in the first half and not being ready to play, and then getting up on us, and then with just no emotion, no leadership, no heart, no toughness, all this and all that. And I was expecting. I mean, we made that quarterback, it was his first career start, looked like he was a 3-time All-American. I mean, that's what it looked like out there. And then in the second half, I don't know what it was, but I have an idea. I think what James did is he put the land grant trophy right outside the locker room.
I don't think there's any question.
And they all had to walk by it.
So, wait a second. What?
They said, that's what we're playing for, guys.
We got to go get this done.
Yep. They pulled it out of the janitor's closet and put it out there so the guys could see it. And that was their main goal in the second half. And look what happened. Just dominance. No, I mean, the defense played absolutely outstanding. Offense played great. Special teams played great. They put it all together. I mean, I've said it for the last couple of weeks. You could actually tell this team did not have a preseason. You could tell this team did not have a spring practice because we didn't really mature or get our mojo down, our feel for this team until about week 4 or 5. Actually, it was week 6, but about the second half of week 5. You know what I mean? Or when did we lose in Nebraska? They had a real good half, but then we lost to Iowa. I don't know what it was, but you
do hope that somewhere in the recesses of their minds they were hearing the 107,000 that would have been there strong chanting as the seconds were ticking away. LGT, 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 because that is what it's all about at the end of the day. And yes, the greatest monstrosity in the history of sports awards resides at University Park for at least one more year.
God bless.
It really was a good second half. And Sean Catoni's comments this week were really. We've talked about it throughout the course of the season, and it's why, again, I'm trying to grade everything on a curve. Sometimes easier said than done. But again, I get it. All of these programs are going through it, and the diehard, passionate, just fans are going to, Alabama and Clemson are dealing with stuff too, and you don't see them going 0-5. I'm fine, fair enough, good point. But this team did. I do think that the protocols that were put in place both by the Big Ten and then by Penn State, and then from what I'm hearing, even more so by James Franklin. So the Big Ten had, I think, it certainly as restrictive, if not more restrictive than any other conference in the country in terms of the protocols put in place and what safeguards were put there for the student athletes. I think Penn State went a step beyond that. And from what I'm hearing, James Franklin then took it even another step so that we get a lot of lip service about, we care about the well-being of the student athletes first and foremost. Everything we do has got to be with that in mind, and I think largely it is lip service. Not saying that the people involved, the coaches and the folks closest to the players, that's not the case. I do wonder sometimes when we talk about at the administrative level. And listen, they're looking at bottom lines. I mean, I get it. Your safety is important, but you've also you're trying to keep these programs sustainable moving forward. And I'm not just talking about the football programs. I'm talking about the other sports programs within these athletic departments. So, it is a lot that everybody is dealing with. I do think there is something to be said for. I mean, this season is not going to go down as one of the great seasons in Penn State football history, but I do think it is. A couple of things are significant. Obviously, rebounding from an 0-5 start to possibly get to 5-5. We'll see what happens. Obviously, with the Illinois game now on Saturday, it was nice that they finally did let everybody know what the arrangement was going to be for this Saturday, and then presumably Penn State is going to get a bowl invitation somewhere. Almost.
Did you hear that? Why they didn't go back to what they were saying to go 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2, 3 versus 3? I mean, I've heard rumors that Alvarez wanted the rivalry games played, and that's what changed everything.
Well, and that's why you have Penn State, Illinois.
Is that what happened? Is that?
I don't think that's.
I mean, why did it get from 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2 to 7 versus 7? Why did that not come out? You know?
Yeah.
I mean, Michigan is playing this week, right?
Yeah, they were trying to avoid some of the rematches,
okay,
which makes some sense.
Yeah, well, you thought of it, but when they were saying 1 versus 1, you knew that was going to happen. I mean, but is it because Alvarez complained? You think
it is?
And I understand it.
No,
I would like to see Minnesota and Wisconsin play. I mean, it's a great rivalry right there. And I'm happy they picked that up.
Truthfully, I don't know that it much matters really. Once you get beyond the championship game, right? I mean. Would you get any more passionate or less passionate? Pick a team outside of Northwestern. I mean, it'd be neat to, I guess, play Wisconsin in some ways, but I don't know. I just don't know that it much matters. Again, if you're not in the championship game, I think just having the opportunity to play another game for most of the fans and certainly for the players is just a welcomed opportunity, period.
We were sitting there saying December 12th was a late game. Now we're talking about December 19th.
It is interesting, and I do wonder because for how long have we been fed the? We can't.
It's not an outdoor stadium.
Never play a game in Beaver Stadium in December or beyond because we have to be done in November because we've got to winterize. And I get it; they're not opening up for the fans, and it's but. I mean, I think it actually can be done, which is what many of us have been thinking all along.
They're just afraid of the Flyers Penguins. I mean,
needed to do something like that. Yes, I think you could accommodate and make that happen. Now, whether or not it's cost effective to do it, for that Flyers Penguins matchup or. I don't know what other events you would do over the winter. I don't know, but boy, it sure seems like it is actually a feasible thing. If you can do it on a December 19th, something tells me you could do it on a January 1st, less than 2 weeks later, right? I mean, instinctively, it feels like something you would actually be able to pull off if need be, or if truly desired. But another discussion for another day. Penn State, again, gets the job done. Your heart still goes out to the seniors, and I don't know how many will be coming back. And listen to Shakatoni talk about everything that they've been through. And, everything is measured for me here in 2020. An important signing day tomorrow. I think it's 15 early verbal commits the Penn State has, expecting to sign on the dotted line, hopefully get everybody in the fold and maybe add to it. And again, I think this is an important class, and I think next year's is in some ways even more vital here in terms of the long-term health and vitality of the program. But I think what Penn State has done here in these last 3 games is, and again, it depends in large part what happens here with Illinois and then in the presumed bowl game. But if Penn State gets back to 5-5, or even if it plays a bowl game against a good opponent and it's a good game, and even if they lose that, I think you have a better feeling, right? Certainly if you beat Illinois and you get a good opponent in the bowl game and you win that, I think you end up feeling certainly a whole lot better than you could have ever possibly envisioned after 0-5. I mean, I think at 0-5, you would have said even to get to 5-5, this is just not a season that you're going to build momentum off of. But the way they've won, the way they've competed, and the way they've figured some things out. Again, that offensive line seems to have come along largely. The second half was a terrific half for the defense. I think there's still some question marks that need to be answered before you feel comfortable proclaiming Penn State as a Big Ten or certainly national title contender in 2021. But I do think there are some really good things for this team to build on,
no doubt,
moving forward. And, hopefully we get back to somewhat normal. Again, hopefully tomorrow is a good day on the recruiting on the signing front. I do
just happens to be a blizzard across the state.
Well, there's a couple of things about that. So this is, again, in a very bizarre season, this has got to be the most challenging game week in the history of college football overall, and certainly for James Franklin in particular. Again, you're coming at the end of a season unlike any other. College football coaches just never have to worry about finals with practices.
True.
I mean, that just isn't something you ever has to cross your mind. It does now. And now you have the blizzard that is expected to come in tomorrow afternoon and go till Thursday morning, late Thursday morning. That plays some havoc, I would think, with what you're trying to get accomplished here this week as well. And again, I throw it onto the pile of things that you've had to deal with.
Think about
unexpected.
That. You're right.
But this really is, I think, just a very challenging week, maybe even more challenging than anything we've seen previously here for James Franklin and the staff.
Because I mean, if it's like the old school, and you're blocked in the afternoon from 2 to 7. That's the old football thing. And for regular athletes, but not during finals week. I mean, some of these guys might have finals on Wednesday or Thursday at 5:00 p.m. So they have that to worry about, Illinois to worry about, signing day to worry about, and then they got a blizzard.
Yeah, it's just, and again, it's an Illinois team that is without its head coach. Lovie Smith, of course, let go. Thanks. It's a big thank you. I love those statements that come out. We can't. So appreciative, so thankful for everything you've done for our program. We couldn't have asked for more, and please get out the door and get out the door now.
Here's your check.
I don't know. And I don't. It's like everything else. It's going to depend what happens over the next 5 years, right, with Illinois football as to whether or not this was the right decision, who they get in, and how it proceeds. I will say, Lovie Smith did not do what I think certainly Illinois fans and probably what most of us, I thought he'd have more success. I mean, I wasn't expecting, necessarily a bunch of Big Ten titles to be put on the Illinois trophy case, but I thought they'd have more success with Lovie Smith. I mean, that is a big name. That is a good, fertile recruiting ground. There is some history with Illinois football, so that I thought that would lead to more success. My question is, and we get into the fan bases everywhere always think, Penn State. James Franklin, sure he has us as a top 7 or 8 program consistently, but by God, that's not good enough. We need to be the program. What is reasonably a good expectation for Illinois fans right now in an era, again, of, I think, Big Ten football that is as good as it has been from the coaching and the talent level across the board. I think it is as good now, if not better, than it's ever been.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm genuinely asking. Is getting a Big Ten title every 5 years? I mean, is that realistic at a place?
He didn't have one of them.
Right
I know
now?
Zook had one right before him.
Yeah,
Zook definitely had one, and they got rid of him.
Yeah, again, I'm not. I understand, and I think it's probably the right move, getting rid of Lovie Smith. I don't think they were successful, quote unquote, and they weren't successful by any measure, right? I mean, not under Lovie. I mean, you can't.
The money they were paying him,
right? So
huge.
So turning it over again, is it I just don't know what what a reasonable expectation is. Is it, hey, we need to get to the Big Ten title game once every 5 years or so? We need to have winning records 4 out of every 5 years. I don't really know what success right now in Illinois is. Again, you're competing with Wisconsin and Iowa consistently, and I think those right now, Wisconsin is the standard bearer in the West.
Yep.
Iowa is probably the most consistently good program after that. And then listen, Northwestern, obviously going to be playing for a Big Ten title here. Minnesota is, well, we'll see, I guess.
Yeah.
I was going to say on the rise, certainly had a great year last year. I guess after this year, maybe some questions about how sustainable that success at Minnesota is. But I just don't know. It's just kind of like Maryland. It's kind of like Maryland with Locke. I mean, I think he's a really good coach, and I think he has that program headed in a good direction.
Yep.
But do I think Maryland is going to contend for Big Ten titles on any kind of a regular basis? And maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe they will. But no, I don't. I think with Michigan, Penn State, obviously with Ohio State, I think it's going to be virtually impossible, even if Locke does a tremendous coaching job, for Maryland to get to a championship game, let alone win it, let alone, be in any kind of national playoff picture.
Yeah, I mean, do they go the route? I mean, Illinois they've always shot for the moon when it comes to their coaches, I think, in my opinion. They took Zook off the retirement block from Florida when he got fired at Florida, paid him a ton of money. He had some good seasons and this and that, and then they got Lovey in there, Chicago royalty with his Bears days and stuff like that. They just thought it was just going to happen, and it hasn't been. And I think that my opinion is they have to go the route of a Purdue type of team and take a really successful MAC and Minnesota with PJ Fleck and Brom down at Purdue and go after a MAC guy who has proven that they can either be an offensive guy or a defensive guy. I don't think they need to realize they're not top-tier Big Ten when it comes to hiring their football coaches, and it stinks because it is a great program in a great area, very fertile area. If they could just keep those guys home, but, I mean, I've been to Chicago a couple of times in the last few years with some guys who are Illinois football players, and, I never really realized how many colleges are close to Chicago. I mean, everything's like a 4 or 5 hour ride.
Yeah.
You could be at Notre Dame, Wisconsin, Illinois, Iowa, somewhat Nebraska, this and that. It's just, it's crazy.
Yeah, and this is an Illinois team that I don't know what you're getting. I mean, Rod Smith is the offensive coordinator, will serve as the interim coach. Do they rally for one final time? Do they say, hey, this is we're done with this year, that we've already packed it in, and we'll spend our energies? I mean, I don't know. It is going to be interesting to me to see for both of these teams. Again, Penn State, with this being finals week and with this storm that's going to be rolling through on Wednesday into Thursday, and you're coming off an emotional. I mean, that second half was emotional.
Yes.
I mean, you say what you want.
See, the end of the game, when the guys were running around at the game, they didn't want to leave the field.
Yeah,
and
that's a big deal. So I'm really curious to see how both teams come out. And it feels to me like this is one of those games where you're just going to have to accept that neither team is going to be sharp. I'll be bordering shocked if we see just great, clean football. I mean, I'm expecting penalties. This is a lot in a season that you've been dealing with a lot. This is a lot to be dealing with this week. The one I think, and I do think it is a significant advantage for Penn State, is being at home, right? If they had to travel anywhere,
well, how they might
on Friday,
if we get shut down. I mean, I know they don't have to clean that much of the stadium up because there's no fans allowed in it, but I mean, we might get 15 to 20 inches of snow. It's scenes of the old Snow Bowl, my last game at Penn State. That was 25 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll tell you. And so one of the things I want to talk about is bowl. Some of the bowl projections are coming out, and a couple different places are reporting that West Virginia is at least a possibility. Did you? I had no idea. I mean, if you just asked me off the top of my head, how long has it been since Penn State and West Virginia played? I realized it was a while. I mean, and if I sat down and thought about it, I mean, really thought, probably be in the
92?
neighborhood of what it was. Yeah, it's been 28 years.
92.
Yeah.
Jeez.
That's the last time those two teams
there.
Played on the gridiron.
I played one play that game. In the middle of the game, there was like an absolute freak rainstorm. And I remember John Palmer was in the end zone doing the end zone view for our filming of the game, and it rained so hard and it was just so he had to get down. So we missed like a quarter of the game of our game film. Just a freak.
Is that right?
15 minutes later, it was gone. It was crazy, but that was I remember. That's weird that I even remember that too. 1992.
It would be interesting. I don't know, like Pitt fans. I mean, Penn State could not play for 50 years, and the Pitt passion will be there for the hatred for Penn State. I don't know, and I don't know. I mean, but with West Virginia, West Virginia fans are crazy. I mean, right? They're rabid and crazy, and but I don't know that they're any more crazy, especially now for Penn State, than they would be for any other big name program, a Florida or
TCU
Texas
coming at them,
or anything else. So I don't know.
You're right. Is the hatred still there?
I mean, that 28 years. You're talking about students that have been out
for
10 years,
school.
Graduates that are 10 years out that weren't even born. I mean, let alone it's got to be, you got to be 35 or 36 years old to have any appreciation, right? For what this series was.
Yeah.
And really, you probably have to be more in our neighborhood to really have a sense of what it was. I don't know. The Virginia Tech opportunity would be interesting just because that was an opportunity lost. I think that's would be an intriguing storyline for a bowl game. I think there's a lot of other games that would be interesting. Big 12 ACC seems to be one of those two conferences seems likely, given on what most of the projections are right now for Penn State.
The Duke's Mayo Bowl is my favorite one.
Yeah.
My love of mayonnaise makes me ill thinking about just a big-ass bowl of it just sitting there baking in the heat, bubbling, warming.
But I think any bowl game, any opportunity, right?
There's no doubt. It's a reward for these guys. They deserve it.
And just to see a little more football, play a little more football, I think it'd be good. The other thing, going back to this week being unlike any other for James Franklin and all of the coaching staffs who are coaching this week, again, you have signing day is tomorrow. That is a big deal, and that does take. I get most of the work has been done in terms of, hey, we have these guys lined up and ready to go. But that's a day that normally your whole day is devoted to that. It obviously can't be with the game coming up on Saturday. So I don't know.
Just think about Lovey. Them firing Lovey. Would that just butcher their signing day?
Yeah, I don't know. I know they've had a couple of players already enter the transfer portal, which is in and of itself is just somewhat amusing to me. But it's in Illinois. In terms of the matchup, you do like it if you're a Penn State fan. Again, I like the matchup with Maryland, and I like the matchup with Nebraska a lot too. So take it for what it's worth. But I do think Penn State, with the way it's playing right now, and certainly the way it's capable of playing, this is a game that even in a very tough week of practice and trying to get everything in, it just feels like this is a game Penn State should win. Now, again, I'm expecting a pretty pedestrian at best first half. I think, but I'm expecting it from both teams. I just think it's going to be a sloppy.
We'll see.
Game.
I mean, Illinois can go one of two routes, in my opinion. They could rally around the interim head coach and say, we want to hire this guy, but you haven't heard any of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think all these guys are there for love. If you said guys are already leaving in the transfer portal, then they don't want to play there. And it's just like one of those games where they're not going to want to be here. It could be a laugher pretty quick in and out. So,
yeah. Well, We'll see. I really have a good feeling about the game overall as far as Penn State's chances, but I just, again, nothing will really surprise me just because so much is having to be juggled this week, and I just think it's a whole lot. Again, I do think being at home for this game, even without fans, is a significant advantage. I really do, because if Penn State was having to travel on the heels of all of this, I just think that adds another huge wrinkle into what is already a pretty messy situation.
Pretty damn cold, too.
Yeah. The other thing, I was talking with this just about in terms of play, college football in general, and I guess Penn State in particular, but bowl games tend to not be the most cleanly played games because there are the long layoffs. We're not going to have those long layoffs. In some cases, right, you're not going to have any layoff, but at the most, you're going to be looking at two to three. Well, not even three. It'd be a couple of weeks. So that I do think that's. I'm curious to see if that does result in better play and better competitive matchups, because it just
it's usually guys get in trouble too on bowl weeks, getting suspended or booted, and the schooling might not be over yet, so there's usually some academic suspensions that go on. We'll see how all of that plays.
Interesting. I'll take a break here. When we come back, do want to talk some basketball and hockey with Penn State, and then we'll also talk some Steelers and Eagles as well as we continue with more of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show.
Lion Country Kia is offering exceptional deals on your new Kia during Kia's Command the Season event.
We have a nice selection on the 2021 Kia Sportage with various options and prices as low as $26,800, saving you $3,000. Or if you demand big power and towing capacity, slip into one of the 2021 Kia Sorrentos available on our lot, starting at $32,680.
Discover why Kia drivers throughout the area come to Lion Country Kia or visit online at lioncountrykia.com.
Introducing the new dusted Ghost Pepper at Quaker Steak and Lube. 11,700 SHUs of fire dusted on award-winning wings. Try it, or are you afraid of the heat?
Who wants to turn $20 into $500? Support our local restaurants this holiday season. Eat in or dine out, from French fries to lobster. Bring us your receipt and we'll take $500 off your final price. Here's how simple this is. Bring us a receipt, buy a car from us in the month of December, and we'll take $500 off your final price. Merry Christmas from Blaze Alexander Hyundai Mazda. Support your local restaurants and servers. Remember, tell them Johnny sent you.
And we welcome you back into the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. Goon doing his best Lamar Jackson impersonation, and that is not easy for the Goon. Here is Trace McSorley.
Cramps. He had cramps, Ironhead. Yes. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes.
Goon had cramps.
Yes. Well, that's what I was referring to with the Lamar Jackson situation. He's got cramps.
Somebody left a comment.
Our Trace McSorley, the guts of the show and the
well, and I got bad knees. Too.
Yes, there you go. It's all
God bless,
all
Trace.
Together.
Yeah, somebody left a comment real quick. Somebody left a comment on Facebook that said Goon was looking grumpy in the last segment. Well, he was, in a manner of speaking.
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
Grumpy. Right. Did you say dumpy? No, grumpy.
Cramps.
Anyways, yes, cramps. By the way, again, thank you to dear Baltimore. Not often I'm rooting for the Ravens, but it does help the Steelers breathe a little easier heading down the stretch here as far as securing at least the division title. If
huge.
Seed.
That was huge for you guys.
No, it was very, very big, especially with the way the two organizations have been trending here over the last couple of weeks.
I don't want to put you on the spot. Do you know what the tiebreaker situation was if it went into that last week?
Well, if the Browns would have
Cleveland won,
I think the Steelers still had the tiebreaker advantage, depending on, I guess if Cleveland won by whatever the point differential, I think both in terms of and I could be wrong about this, but I think the Steelers had the advantage on the intra-conference record. Actually, I think first was the interdivisional record, and the Steelers, even with a loss. Well, if the Steelers, presuming the Steelers beat the Bengals, even with a loss to Cleveland,
safe.
Yes, the Steelers. I think we're safe there. That's the one of the three remaining that
I don't want to jinx you all, but I think you're all right.
You're all right. Well, and especially having, I do like the fact that they have an extra day here this week after having the 3 games in 12 days or whatever it was. I do think having a little time to just rest and relax. I get that they had that extended break, but it wasn't. It was not a relaxing extended break, and you didn't know when that break was actually going to end in the lead up to the Ravens game that got postponed from that Thanksgiving Thursday to the following Wednesday. But, so I think the Steelers are back in pretty good shape, but I think the divisional record would have been first. But I think they had the advantage on both divisional conference and then the point differential within the division as well. So they were still in good shape, I believe, but definitely breathing a little easier now. Before we get into and I talk to you a little bit about the Eagles for sure and Penn State basketball as well.
Take your time, Ironhead.
Do want to remind you, Quaker Steak and Lube still open for carryout. We'll be restarting full dining room service on Monday, January 3rd, with the governor's permission. Full menu and to-go cocktails are available until 8 p.m. here at Quaker Steak and Lube. And what you want to do is call 814-237-5823 and mention the Goon and Ironhead show. If you do that, you will get 20% off of your order. We would remind you that the wings in particular reheat easily if you are looking to stock up today for what is coming tomorrow. And the blizzard that is
good call.
Yes, bearing upon us.
Reheat them in the oven too. Don't do the microwave.
No. Yeah, Goon was on the if you have the air fryer, that's the way to go.
Oh yeah, that too. Look at them. They're like running out the locker room like Lamar Jackson. It's fourth down.
That shin strap buckled back up. Delivery is also available through DoorDash and Uber Eats here from Quaker Steak and Lube. And again, our thanks to Quaker Steak for sticking with us. We're certainly sticking with them. Lion Country Kia as well has gone above and beyond, as has Blaze Alexander. So we thank all of the sponsors and, again, encourage you to support the sponsors, but also just support all of the local businesses during these difficult times. Before we bring Goon in, I just want your thoughts. I do love my favorite part of the week regarding Philadelphia, aside from all of the talk about James Harden, is well, we don't know whether or not Jalen Hurts he could be the starter. We'll let you know later in the week. Really? You're debating that, were you, after the Hurts-led victory over this past weekend and Carson Wentz, who looks just absolutely completely lost right now?
Yeah, well, it's the little bit of that James Franklin vibe where you don't want to give even the slightest advantage, even though everyone in the world knows what's going to happen.
Not me. I was shocked. Jalen Hurts did end up getting named the starter. Huh.
Yeah, what a shock. Well, I don't know quite what to make of Hurts yet, Ironhead, because it's like
really you're not ready to anoint him the league MVP.
It's funny. There are plenty of people in Philadelphia who are they're already he's got a little bit of Russell Wilson in him. I heard this weekend. I was like, well, yeah, they both play quarterback. They both played for 2 schools in college.
There you
definitely
go.
some similarities between Jalen Hurts and Russell Wilson. They both got drafted. Yep, they play in the NFC.
Yep.
Yeah, so. I just look at what happened down in Jacksonville last year. Remember when they had their franchise quarterback and Gardner Minshew?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
The jorts and the stash, and we see how that's working out.
Cool.
So
it was cool.
NFL defensive coordinators get a little tape on you, and all of a sudden everything changes.
Let me ask. Let me follow up with that because I've had a couple of interesting discussions coming off of the Bills' very impressive victory over the Steelers on Sunday night regarding Josh Allen.
By the way,
you know what? Here is this is the honest to God's truth. And listen, I am a diehard Steelers. I want the Steelers to win. I really believe they can win the Super Bowl this year, even after these last couple of weeks. But I will say, if the Steelers can't win, Buffalo is my second team.
Sure.
And again, it goes back to, just real quickly, there's family history there, but my grandfather was in the hospital with Jim Kelly's father.
Right.
And the two of them became, again, friends for a couple of days. I don't think they ever stayed in touch or anything like that. But Jim Kelly came to visit his dad and ended up giving my grandfather a signed hat, which he gave to me, which I still have. So I've always had I like Buffalo anyway to begin with, going back to when I was a kid. And yes, this was back when you could say you were a fan of O.J. Simpson and not feel the least bit dirty about it. It was, before we knew anything else, we just knew he was a good
Jeff
running back.
Byers, huge O.J. Simpson
He had a likable smile. So, I go back to those days, and I thought the Bills were cool because of that back in the 70s when I was but a tyke. So, but Josh Allen, what do we make? I will say he is playing extremely well, and as difficult as that game was, and there were some things that were very frustrating from the Steelers' play side of it. I will say Josh Allen right now, there are not many teams that I don't know if there's any teams that he is not going to give fits to right now. The throw for the touchdown where he goes back across the field and flicks it, that is a throw that every coach at every level will tell you, do not make that throw. That is too dangerous, and it is going to lead to the other team getting the football. And he made it look easy. And Mahomes is the only other guy in the league that I see doing that and doing it effectively, where it's like, oh, no, I'm okay with him doing it. But the question for me is, and I don't know that it much matters right now, but for the Bills moving forward, it is going to matter. Is Josh Allen, has he just figured it out and he is going to be a long-term success? That's what it feels like to me right now. But to your point, we have seen a lot of quarterbacks have success for periods of time, even a season or two, and not be able to sustain it. It feels to me, and I thought they did a really nice job. I really did in breaking down the his throwing and what he did in the offseason to get to the point he is. And that feels like that's designed for long-term sustainable success. But, how confident, I guess, are you that that's the case here with Josh Allen?
Not confident. Look, I'm just not bought in yet on him as an elite tier quarterback.
Yeah.
Although I will say, man, that throw he made across his body, across the field, he put that thing on a rope. And what he did, why you don't worry about that as a coach, is he did put it where only his receiver was going to get to, which was pretty impressive.
I mean, exactly.
But you can establish yourself as a legit NFL starter and start for your team for a long time without a lot of controversy about the position and still not be in that upper echelon. Now, I'm not comparing the games necessarily, but Andy Dalton, how long was that guy the undisputed starter for the Bengals? And nobody was like, man, I'd love to have Andy Dalton on my team, right? Yep. So I don't know that Josh Allen's done enough to get up out of that Andy Dalton tier just yet, except he's young and he was a high draft pick and he has steadily improved. So the question is he starting to hit his ceiling, or can you project that improvement up a little bit farther and say this is a guy who can take his team to the AFC Championship game?
Yeah, and I will say I do like what the Bills as an organization.
Yeah, they are a well put together team.
Yeah,
no doubt about it.
They have all of the ingredients are there, and then Josh Allen is the the extra kick that's I think giving them an opportunity here. Again, to me right now. And who knows, you get into the playoffs and something crazy happens. It feels to me like it's a 3-team race for who's going to get to the Super Bowl from the AFC. The Chiefs are still obviously the team to beat and are rightfully the betting favorites. I do think the Steelers, if they can get some guys healthy, and that's a big if, and get some things corrected offensively here, and that's a big if. But I think the Steelers have enough in place to feel like they can legitimately make that run. And I think Buffalo is there. I mean, I really do think that team with the defense it is playing right now, and with the way that offense is designed and the way Josh Allen is playing, again, on a given day, I think either the Bills or the Steelers can beat the Chiefs, even if the Chiefs are playing well.
Let me ask you this. I agree with everything you just said. It is impossible. It's truly impossible for me. Maybe it's just a failure of my imagination, Ironhead, but I just cannot envision the Cleveland Browns as a legitimate threat come playoff time. And I'm just asking myself, if I got rid of the uniforms, like let's take an AFC team, like let's say we put them in Denver Broncos uniforms, that same roster. Look, they lost that game last night, but that ground game, very impressive. Baker Mayfield seems to have worked his way out of the sophomore slump. Again, I don't know, he's an elite tier guy, but he's not a negative. He's not a net neutral. He's going to make some plays for you. Their defense has gotten a lot better. The one thing I will give them credit is for the first 2 decades of the 21st century, the Browns have been an absolute abomination. Like the whole structure of the NFL is set up to make every team go 8-8.
Yeah.
And the Browns have found some way to defy the mathematics and be just god awful for almost 20 years. They now look like a legitimate NFL football team, basically for the first time since they came back.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, are you buying them at all? Or
I am.
What do you think?
So my
it's tough to get past the Browns
still,
thing,
well,
right?
and I do think they are a
Lamar, you coming in here? What's going on here?
I think they are a good team.
You recovered from your cramps? All right.
More water over there. More water for the big fellow. they
drinking the water is what got them in trouble, from my understanding.
I think they are a year away from being legit contenders, a year or two. I think they are on the cusp, and I do think they are a good team,
it's wild,
a legit playoff team. I don't think they're quite there yet in terms of being a Super Bowl team. And I think part of it is just learning that process. You got to get to the playoffs, get a game or two under your belt, and kind of feel that out. You know, I just look at the quarterback play, and I know Ben had a couple of horrible throws, and he really had a couple of horrible throws on Sunday night. I still, to me, it comes back to the quarterbacking. I think Cleveland's ground game is there. I think that defense is legit. I just don't think, and I think Mayfield may very well get there, but if you're at any team right now for this season, you're taking Mahomes, Roethlisberger, Allen in a heartbeat,
no doubt,
for sure over Mayfield. Now, again, that could change completely next year, and I think, as you said, he's worked his way out, and he is playing good football, really good football right now. I think Cleveland is a year away from being a real Super Bowl contender, at least in my eyes. Now, again, could I be proven wrong and Cleveland is the team that knocks Pittsburgh out? Yeah, that's entirely possible.
Probably not.
It doesn't feel like that's
probably
where
not.
they're at right now. So, what's that?
Ooh,
yeah,
Tennessee?
I don't think the Titans are. I'm looking at the Titans the way I am Cleveland. I think they're. Listen, the ground game for both obviously is, Derrick Henry is just ridiculous. Derrick Henry right now is reminding me of Earl Campbell back in the day when Campbell was in his prime.
Good comparison. Same franchise.
Tackle him, and you don't want to tackle him. You don't want to be getting near that guy if you don't have to. But
how many Super Bowls did Earl Campbell play in, right? And that's not a knock on the player, but you and I are old school guys, Ironhead. I mean, hell, your name is Ironhead.
Exactly.
We like Neanderthal, right?
Yes,
so
indeed.
The way the Browns and the Titans play football, I love watching that stuff. And I know you do too.
Yep.
But isn't it interesting? We've both now been conditioned by the new NFL to look at a team that runs that ground-based ball control offense, and we're like, that team can't go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and listen,
because Lamar off camera here had to let us know that Tennessee was even still in the mix. I wasn't even thinking about it.
Well, no, I knew, but in terms of, again, to me, Kansas City's the clear number one. Right now, I think Buffalo would be my number two in terms of projecting who has the best chance to get to the Super Bowl in the AFC, and then Pittsburgh. And then I think it's in my mind, it's a substantial drop off to the next contenders.
Yeah, I'll buy that.
That's not, again, it's we've seen really weird things happen in the playoffs where a team that is better, I mean, overall and throughout the season has been better, gets knocked off by a team who just happens to put it all together on that given day. So
since we're talking about the Titans,
it's not possible for anybody else to get there, but I think those three teams to me are the three that are most deserving and most likely to get into the Super Bowl.
To bring it full circle to your
AFC.
question about Josh Allen, I think the question for him is whether his ceiling is Tennessee Ryan Tannehill or if he's got another gear he can go to. Now, Buffalo can consistently go to the playoffs if he's Tennessee Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah.
They can't win the Super Bowl, and it's going to be tough for them to get there playing in the same conference with Patrick Mahomes and the Steelers, whoever's playing quarterback for the Steelers next year. That defense ain't going anywhere. Yeah. And, I think the biggest issue for Pittsburgh right now is just the health of the roster.
There's no doubt. And that's why hopefully this week will be a good one in that regard for the Steelers as they make the turn. All right, Goon, you're being called back in here. McSorley, we appreciate it.
No problem. I'm just trying to get out of here with my ACLs intact. Prayers up. Trace, we hope you're feeling well, my man.
God, that was awful to see. Yeah, if you did not see or hear, McSorley got injured in you could just see the knee buckle during the game on the final series last night for the Ravens. So, yes.
Okay, I'm back.
Best wishes out to McSorley.
Didn't look good.
No, did not look good at all. Turn attention to Penn State basketball. I'll let you weigh in if you want on the Eagles, Jalen Hurts, before we go to Penn State basketball. Anything you want to add for the good of the order with the beloved Eagles in a division that is now being dominated by the Giants and the Redskins, the team formerly known as the Redskins, and even the Cowboys put together a good outing this past weekend.
I'm a Twitter guy, so Dan Orlovsky is one of the guys I follow on Twitter, and he has some pretty good stuff that he talks about. Like he says, there's the Wentz, Doug Peterson, the mojo is not there. And then when it was Nick Foles and Peterson, it flowed well. And then when Hurts goes into the game, it seems to flow well again because he changed the program up to make it easier on those guys with the drop down, the knockdown passes, the running game, and this and that. So why the hell don't you try this with Wentz? I mean, are you afraid that Wentz is too fragile and to run the ball? I don't know. It just seems like they just don't have. He does not have a good feel for what Carson Wentz can do well. I really don't. And it really shows up. But like we talked about Penn State, what the hell is the best part about what's the best friend of a passing game? Is a good running game, and you're gonna feed your guys like they did the other night, and it's gonna open up passing lanes, and that's what happened. So. Yep. I don't know. It just seems like he does not have a good feel for Carson Wentz as when he's the quarterback.
Yeah, and that's one of the problems with the Steelers right now is when going back to the Super Bowl discussion is that lack of a running game, and even with Connor in there, it is a real concern now.
What the hell happened?
And listen, it is an even greater concern when you cannot hang on to the football, and it really is just beyond explanation that the Steelers, with the talent they have, that receiving core, cannot hang on to the football. And Deontay Johnson in particular, the guy obviously he knows what he needs to do. He knows that his spot on that roster moving forward is at stake right now, and he obviously knows that. And he's a tremendously talented kid. I mean, he's got a tremendous set of skills. And I don't know if it's one of those things now where it's just, it's obviously in his head, and it's playing some mind games, and he's got to work his way through it because that offense still, the potential of that offense, I guess I should say, is just, to me, through the roof. I mean, I think it's an offense that should be rivaling Kansas City's in terms of the different ways it can beat you, the threats, but Ebron's had the drops the last few weeks. Obviously, Johnson's been a nightmare with the drops. And even the other guys have had some. But, I mean, those two in particular have got to be consistent, to use the Tomlinism, that you've got to make the routine plays routinely. And if they just start doing that, right, they're going to be back. I mean, they would have won the game with Buffalo. As good as Buffalo is, and I do think Buffalo is really good, and Allen played the best game I've seen a Bills quarterback have since Jim Kelly. And again, I don't watch a lot of Buffalo football, admittedly.
I have.
But man, he had a great game and is obviously having a great season. But with all of that, if the Steelers just make the routine plays, if Ben delivers the ball a couple of times more accurately when he has time and it has receivers open, I mean, this isn't all just on the receivers and the drops. Ben is letting too many plays get away as well. But that combination is making stagnant what should be an explosive big-time offense. I mean, with Johnson and Claypool and Juju Smith-Schuster and Ebron, and again, James Conner is an experienced running back, has had good numbers in the past. This is an experienced offensive line. You got Marquise Pouncey back, and for whatever reason, they just are not putting that together. I don't know. Part of it is I really do think, and I'm really not looking to make excuses, and I know fans hate excuses, but I do go back to the whole situation with that Ravens game, and I get it. They're being paid. You deal with adversity and you work through it. Fine. I'm just telling you, when you're expecting to play on a Thursday and you end up not playing to that following Wednesday, and your schedule is changing, and you're getting practices where you thought you were going to have family time, or I'm just telling you, that messes with you, and then you get the back-to-back short weeks as a result of that. What I'm really curious is if the Steelers come out looking sharp, and that's obviously, as a Steelers fan, what I'm hoping is that they look really good against Cincinnati, get back into a flow, and then finish it off strongly against the Colts and the Browns in the last couple of games and get that momentum and mojo back. I don't think it explains everything that's been happening, but I do think that the whole 3 games in 12 days thing is part of the equation here. I just think it's I think you were asking a lot of these guys without ever having a true bye week. And I know people are like, well, they got that bye week in essence from Thanksgiving. That wasn't a bye week. They were practicing because up to that Thursday night game, that was not handled the way a bye week would be handled, right? If they knew going in, yes, I'm with you. But they have not had that week where, okay, we'll come in, work on some things, we'll really rest up, get sharp. They never had that. And again, I think this is going to be as close to it. I mean, it's obviously not a bye week. You get 1 extra day. But I do think this will give them a chance to hopefully heal up, get some things corrected, and we'll see. It's a game that, and we've seen how many games that the Steelers should win easily, and it's close whether they win or lose. This is a game that the Steelers, if they come out and play the way they're capable of playing, this should be a comfortable win. It should be a double-digit victory anyway against Cincinnati on Monday night.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's you're having the same offensive line, the same running backs. I mean, I know they're getting back into it, but they need to pick that run game up. Earlier in this year, before the COVID thing and all this went down, I mean, Connor was running like a madman. He was running really hard. He was getting a lot of blocking. I know the right tackle's back, Pouncey's back. We'll McDonald's back, so I guess that they could work on their timing and all that and this and that, but that really hurt. I mean, not having that run game, it's a non-existent run game they have right now.
Yeah,
and
then
you add in the drops, and it's like
get a yard when they need it. And that is not a good place to be.
No, but I have watched a little bit. I'm sorry, a lot of Buffalo Bills, and I have been saying all year the step that Allen has made in the last 2 years has been unbelievable. I mean, he is a faster Roethlisberger, and he's got a stronger arm than Ben used to have. And that's insane to think about.
Yeah, and
where he's at right now.
I just I really do like the way that team has been put together. And
it's a LaSalle guy doing it, so what do you expect?
The way they have galvanized in that locker room. I mean, they have a college feel to them, right? In terms of the kind of that brotherhood element. And I think I think the Bills are built for long-term success.
They got some pretty good meat up front on both sides of the line of scrimmage,
I
too.
I think the next few years are going to be good ones for Bills fans.
McDermott built it up the way Andy Reid did. You build it from the lines and you work your way out.
Yeah.
Is how they built that program. And there's some big boys they got in Buffalo up front on both sides of the ball. I mean, Edmonds, the middle linebacker, is 6'5".
Yeah.
Jesus, that's enormous.
No,
they're a big team and they're physical and they're going to be around a long time.
Yeah,
so
that's my.
And you're talking about
feeling as
continued this and that. Who can take over New England? I mean, you got Miami coming up too, and they're playing tough as heck.
Yep.
They're playing really well.
And then you have the Jet. Oh.
Yeah. The Bill Cowher-led Jets next year, Ironhead. Bill Cowher and Sunshine as his quarterback.
Yes, indeed.
Ironhead. No, Bill, don't do it.
On. No, I'm all right with.
I'm all right too. I'm all better.
However that turns out, we're glad.
Couple IVs.
Welcome back, big guy.
Yeah, I went back to the back room, had some IVs. I'm good to go. I'm ready to go. I came in on 4th and 5 and threw a 40-yard touchdown pass. That was unbelievable, that game last night. So
that was.
And then did you see, as soon as they get off the air, they're all laughing because of the line when they threw the pitch safety. And they go right to it. Here's Scott Van Pelt. And he's just sitting there going, oh, my God. Because the line was 3. It was a push. Some people had 3.5, so some people had won it. And then they threw a safety to end the game. The last play on a pitchy poopa was what he calls it. Yep, that was unbelievable to think about looking at that and knowing what the line was and having phone calls from people who had it, and they were like, "Did you just see that?" I'm like, "Yes, I did." But it was unbelievable. That was the worst bad beat. Ohio State and Northwestern had done something like that years ago, and that's actually in the credits of bad beats. And when Brett Musburger's, there's a lot of happy people as well as a lot of upset people at that play. So that was just crazy. But what an unbelievable game that was last night.
Yeah.
Ooh, man, back and forth.
Dear Ravens. Good job, boys.
Yeah.
Always did like those kids from Baltimore.
That's a pretty damn good division they got going right there. I mean, Cleveland.
Yeah, it is.
We talk about all the time. You can learn a lot from a loss, and I think that Cleveland might learn a whole ton from that.
Yeah, I suspect you are correct.
You talk about a good offensive line there.
Yeah.
Cleveland's line is pretty damn good. They
I think
built
Cleveland's close. At Tennessee, I think both those teams are a year away from really being where they want to be, is what I think. But what do I know? I haven't. I can't tell you the last time I think I was right on a prediction of any import.
Well, you said that COVID would be over by December. By the end of the year, we'd have a vaccine.
We'll be good.
You said we'd have a vaccine by the new year, and here we go.
The Penn State basketball team. I do want to talk a little bit about the hoops and hockey program. Hockey, a great, getting a couple of overtime wins, getting a little win streak going into the break is not insignificant. And again, that's a young team. You kind of knew this was a bit of a rebuilding year, and I think you like what you're seeing. Basketball team, I have to tell you, it has been a while that I felt that good about a loss for Penn State basketball. I just like the way they hung in there. Gave themselves a chance at the end.
Shoddy shot selection now at the end again.
But you know what? Some of that was I agreed. But some of that was Michigan and the pressure they're putting on you. I think that's a good Michigan team, a real good Michigan team. And it feels like Penn State's going to win more than its fair share of those types of games over the course of the year. If Penn State, and I realize that they didn't, but if they had closed things out right against Seton Hall, you're losing that opener it takes on a little more significance because of that. And that's still the game that to me just haunts you a little bit if you're Penn State. This one just felt like, okay, you went up against a really good team. Could have gone either way. Michigan made some plays down the stretch. You didn't, and let's pick up and see what Michigan, happens. I'm with you, but I think this team showed that it's right there, which we strongly suspected going into it. But I think just kind of some affirmation and again, we'll see. It just feels like this is going to be a year, COVID aside, similar to last year in terms of what this team is going to be able to accomplish in conference. I think this is a team that's going to be able to do some good things.
Yep.
To your point, though, last week, right, the inside presence. I mean, if you had to point to one thing that was the difference in that game, it was Michigan's ability to take advantage on the interior.
Yeah, that's the Big Ten's running this year pretty much with the big boys. So we got to have some answers and hit some a lot more shots than we've been hitting if we're going to make a run into this thing.
Yeah, but I think they will. Again, they've been pretty good about that. And even in that Michigan game, they were good about overcoming that. I think, as we've talked about, when you rely on the outside shooting to the degree they do, you're going to have days where each of those guys is going to be off, right? Like that just happens.
Completely agree.
What you hope is that it doesn't, there's not a day where you have 3 or 4 guys that are all off. And it feels like that's unlikely, right? That there are guys that can pick up the slack. But I think, I don't know, I think the long-term prospect there for the basketball team this season is still good. And again, hockey, I don't think this is a Frozen Four team this year, but I do think you may be seeing the building blocks of that type of a team, a year or two.
And you're beating the top 20 program in Arizona State twice,
yeah,
and you're beating in overtime, which means you're pretty mature to get to overtime. You're pretty mature to win it. So
yeah, and I think getting those wins, we talk about confidence all the time, and at some point, you have to see the results. And I think, for Penn State football, getting those wins here down the stretch, it helps you in the offseason. I think getting those wins and getting that good feeling going into this break allows the hockey team to come back, here in January, presuming we do come back, feeling pretty good about itself and putting itself in position to do some good things here in the second part of the season. We will be back on Thursday. Talk a little bit more about that Illinois game, and who knows what else is going to be out there.
Blizzard, get him
for us to discuss. There's just seems like there's ongoing, ever-changing things that
we're 10 days from Christmas. We're still talking Penn State football regular season.
Yeah, it's
I'm not complaining, buddy.
2020, my friend.
Ooh,
2020.
buddy.
Again, we'll talk to you on Thursday right around 3 o'clock again with our next edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead Show. And until then, again, Quaker Steak and Lube, call 814-237-5823. Get 20% off of your order when you mention the Goon and Ironhead Show. And again, those wings, not a bad thing to stock up on ahead of Snowmageddon, which comes tomorrow. We'll talk to you on the other side of Snowmageddon again on Thursday. Until then, be safe.
Lion Country Kia is offering exceptional deals on your new Kia during Kia's Command the Season event.
We have a nice selection on the 2021 Kia Sportage with various options and prices as low as $26,800, saving you $3,000. Or if you demand big power and towing capacity, slip into one of the 2021 Kia Sorrentos available on our lot, starting at $32,680.
Discover why Kia drivers throughout the area come to Lion Country Kia or visit online at lioncountrykia.com.
Introducing the new dusted Ghost Pepper at Quaker Steak and Lube. 11,700 SHUs of fire dusted on award-winning wings. Try it, or are you afraid of the heat?
Who wants to turn $20 into $500? Support our local restaurants this holiday season. Eat in or dine out, from French fries to lobster. Bring us your receipt and we'll take $500 off your final price. Here's how simple this is. Bring us a receipt, buy a car from us in the month of December, and we'll take $500 off your final price. Merry Christmas from Blaze Alexander Hyundai Mazda. Support your local restaurants and servers. And remember, tell them Johnny sent you.